Hey, bro, watch your jet. Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
There are a lot of movies in the Godzilla franchise, 38 to be exact. And while many of them are made with a lot of action and a touch of horror on the side, a good handful of them are just hilariously goofy without even trying.
What the hell?
And I want to talk about a few of my personal favorite ones that fit the level of goofiness I'm trying to talk about, especially the ones that came out through the 60s to early 70s. I also been giving some honorable mentions on some old Godzilla movies that aren't necessarily funny throughout the whole movie, but definitely have some goofy moments in them. So starting off with the first movie, a classic that a majority of y'all probably heard before, aka and no, I'm not talking about the new one either. So before this movie was released, there was two other Godzilla movies that came out before it. The first original Godzilla movie and Godzilla Strikes Back. Both these movies are pretty much widely regarded to be serious and kinda spooky movies. And part of that reason mainly stems from because they were in black and white. However, Godzilla vs. Kong 1962 was the first movie out the franchise to be released in color. And I guess our main incentive was for this movie to be taken seriously, but while watching this, it just felt like the complete opposite, not gonna lie. So basically, a Japanese medical company hears about some rumors of a giant monster living on an island not too far from Japan, and they want to go capture it in hopes that it will help promote their declining medical company. Now, how do those two have any correlation with each other? I have no idea. Just go with the flow with it, alright? This giant monster happens to be King Kong, and one thing by the way, in the original Kong vs. Godzilla, Kong's home planet isn't called Skull Island, but it's actually called Pharaoh Island, so I want to put that out there. Now, you might be a little curious and ask, where does Godzilla play a part in this movie? And basically what happened was that in the last Godzilla movie, at the end, in order to stop Godzilla's rampage, they trap it in some type of ice prison, so it's not like able to come out on some Avatar Aang shit, but instead of being released to like beat the Fire Nation, if Godzilla gets released, he destroys all of Japan. So in Godzilla vs. Kong, the Americans are sent to explore the Arctic because something fishy is going on over there. And while they're exploring like a bunch of dumbasses, they crash into a big iceberg. Unfortunately, this is the same iceberg that Godzilla was trapped in, letting him free. Good job, America. And now Godzilla is headed back to Japan to once again begin his rampage. So once the Japanese reach Pharaoh Island, they immediately get swarmed by the inhabitants of the island. And looking at these dudes, bro, I don't know, but this don't kind of look crazy to y'all. I don't know if it's just me, but the way these guys are designed kind of rubs me the wrong way, and not in a good way either.
What the hell?
But these inhabitants let the explorers know that Kong is actually not a rumor and in fact very much real. But the explorers don't necessarily believe them all that much, even when a thunderstorm occurs and this happens. Like, I mean, that's just clearly God moving furniture, like, duh. And the explorers still believe that this whole King Kong thing is just one giant myth until the island gets attacked by a giant octopus. I wish I was making this stuff up, bro. So the big octopus is invading the island and getting close to the village, and with nobody big or strong enough able to fend off this octopus, look who shows up and decides to save the day. The big, great, and mighty King Kong. Jesus Christ, what in the world is that? Hey, I know this movie was made in the 1960s, and it's kind of hard to make things like this look kind of good on the big screen, but every time Kong is shown throughout this whole movie, he just kind of looks like that one SpongeBob episode with the Ninja and the gorilla costume. So after Kong defeats the giant octopus monster, I guess he gets a little thirsty and just...
Man, I'm dead.
Yeah, so at this point, the explorers use this opportunity while Kong is knocked out to take him back to Japan. But while they're on their way, I guess it finally dawned upon them that taking a big giant monkey all the way just to promote their medical company probably doesn't seem like a good idea. Like, I wasn't trying to tell them that in the beginning of the video. So they decided to simply just let him free in the middle of the ocean. Splendid idea, Japan. So now that Godzilla is free and Kong is also free, they eventually cross paths. And as two giant monsters usually do when they catch a glimpse of each other, they immediately get to scrap it. So Kong throws the first move by picking up a rock and launching it towards Godzilla, which didn't really do anything. But it's okay, because he decides to give it a second try, and...
Is this nigga serious?
Yeah, that nigga Kong realized he ain't built for this. So Kong decides to just leave the battle scene and Godzilla heads back to continue to destroy Japan again. Later on in the movie though, as Godzilla and Kong are both roaming across Japan, we learn that Godzilla's weakness is electricity, while on the opposite end, Kong gains power from it by chewing on it. Yeah, this movie doesn't really make any sense, man. I don't really know what to tell you. So now we have a good idea on how Kong can stop Godzilla from just destroying the entire country. So now Kong's randomly just taking his little tour across Japan now, and while he's strolling, he tries to run from a woman he picked up, but clearly it just looks like he's just scaring the hoes. But not too long after that, the Japanese army arrives and puts Kong to sleep, and then carries him up using a bunch of balloons to take him towards Godzilla for round 2. So once they reach the battlefield, the army drops Kong, and this time these niggas actually get to for real fighting now. And if you thought everything in this movie hasn't been goofy as hell already, this fight is probably the goofiest scene in this entire movie. At first they start by doing hella random shit, not gonna lie. Kong does this one crazy move where he throws a rock at Godzilla, does an epic jump tumble into
What the hell?
just as Godzilla starts to pack this thing up for good, Kong just springs up out of nowhere, but it doesn't even matter, because then Godzilla just hits this lame ass monkey with a kick at high speed, sending this thing up flying, bruh. And before you ask any questions, yes, your eyes were not deceiving you. These dudes really added a whole stop motion Godzilla kick in their movie. Which the funny part is, that isn't even the goofiest thing Godzilla does in this entire video. At this point, King Kong is basically getting his ass beat for the entire movie, and it's really looking grim for bro, not even gonna lie. And just as Godzilla is once again about to end things, a thunderstorm appears, and King Kong gets saved by his unexplained lightning powers and just starts to beat Godzilla's ass again. Like, this movie is just insane. He even gets a nearby tree, just shoves it down Godzilla's throat. Pause, by the way. And after all this pure goofiness of a fight, the two just start hugging and wrestling each other for like the next 2 minutes straight. And they keep hugging each other until they approach a nearby cliff and they just both crash land into the water. The humans who are watching this fight happen above from a helicopter scan the water to see one to fight, and they find Kong, who's swimming back towards Thorough Island. But as for Godzilla though, bro is like nowhere to be found. He's completely disappeared from the entire fight. But the only thing that kind of confused me is that, like, I thought this nigga Godzilla could swim. Like, how the fuck did he just like disappeared to thin air? And as Kong swims into the distance heading towards his home island, the movie just ends right there. I'm not even trolling. That's literally the end. So I guess that means what we learned from this story is that Kong is stronger than Godzilla.
Nice. Made me happy, made me smile.
It's goofy awe. It's really, really goofy awe. Why is it so odd?
I might be on this one for a while, not gonna lie. Godzilla's Revenge, or Godzilla All Monsters Attack, is the second movie I'm gonna talk about today. And not only did I find this movie to probably be one of the goofiest Godzilla films I've ever seen, but it's also probably one of the worst ones too. And you don't even have to take my word for it. A good majority of Godzilla fans think the same thing too. Just look at this review. As I'm about to talk about this movie, you'll soon find out what I mean. But before I actually get into talking about the movie, I figured I'd provide a little context first. So this movie was actually released in 1969, and its main plot kind of involves a combination of a couple different Godzilla movies in the past. Those of which those movies were Destroy All Monsters and Son of Godzilla. Yes, Godzilla somehow has a son, but looks like this the entire movie, by the way.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, the little nigga ugly as fuck, not gonna lie. And unfortunately for us, in the movie Godzilla's Revenge, Manila makes a return to scar our eyes once again. But throughout this movie, he's showing with a young elementary Japanese kid who sadly has to deal with tons of bullying in this movie too. Poor kid. So the film starts off with a kid walking up some stairs on the way to school, and literally in the first scene, he already gets caught in some bullshit. Wait, huh? No way I heard that right. Let me replay that. I also made the mistake to choose to watch the dub version of this movie, which is so freaking terrible. I refuse to believe that seriously ever got released.
You should get the cries of the monsters in this.
I had to suffer throughout the whole movie. Y'all have to suffer with me too. Nah, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do y'all like that. I lied, by the way. Fun fact about this kid, who goes by the name of Ichiro, by the way, is that he loves giant monsters and dreams about hanging out with them to go on adventures and shit. Meanwhile, during this movie, there's a story of a couple of bank robbers who are on the loose after stealing a hefty amount of cash. And this might not make much sense now, but it's kind of important to the story later, so bear with me right here. So basically what happens is that Ichiro goes home and has a dream about going to a place called Monster Island, which is basically an island where a bunch of monsters like Godzilla, his ugly ass son, and a ton of other monsters reside there. So in this dream, he's on a plane, and it's low-key kind of crazy how many people are on this plane. Like, I mean, all these guys are going to Monster Island. Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense now. So while Chiro is busy exploring Monster Island, he runs into a giant ant monster who starts to chase him. And as he's running away, like an actual idiot, he somehow jumps and falls into a big ass cave, getting him stuck. He thinks of ways to climb his way back up, but all his efforts lead to no avail. And it's when things are starting to look over for him, bro. Oh shit, is that a rope? No way. So my boy decides to climb the rope, and once he reaches the top, we found out that the one who ended up rescuing bro is none other than the GOAT himself.
Hey, come on over here. I won't hurt you.
Bro, why do you make this little nigga sound like Barney the purple dinosaur? So Godzilla's on the camera just chilling, going around exploring Monster Island and shit. And you know, they're just having an amazing time until... It was time for my boy to wake up from his little dream. Then when Ichiro goes back outside to the real world to go play, he runs into the same bully he saw in the beginning of the movie. And since he doesn't want to deal with their BS again, he runs very far away from them, landing himself in an abandoned warehouse. Remember when I was talking about the little story about the robbers a few scenes ago was going to be relevant? Well, here's where those guys become relevant. Because once Ichiro is hiding in the warehouse, he finds a driver's license and picks it up for some weird reason. Coincidentally, this is the same license that belongs to one of the robbers, and because of that, now he's trying to chase the kid to retrieve it back. And I'm not gonna lie, there was like so many good times where the robbers could have just taken the license right back from the kid, but instead they decided to waste a good 4 minutes spying on the little nigga. Like, first of all, is this not insane to you? And second of all, hey, yo, what is bro doing to the car, bro? The robbers basically follow Ichiro all the way back to his house, and this is where they find the perfect time to attack and capture him. And after they tie him up and hold him hostage in the abandoned warehouse, at this point, I feel like I'm just watching a Japanese version of Home Alone, bro. Cause not gonna lie, when I was doing my research, I found out that Godzilla's revenge was mainly aimed towards children. And if you've seen any children's movies in your entire life, you know that they love to promote some type of motivational message the entire time of the movie. So I guess with this movie, the motivational message was supposed to be like some type of anti-bullying PSA, but with the use of giant monsters in the picture. Before Ichiro got captured, he took another visit to Monster Island where him and Godzilla still get to watch his daddy Godzilla fight all these other monsters on the island in the most goofiest way possible. I mean, first he starts off by playing ping pong with like a giant crab monster. Then he gets jizzed on. Like, bro, I'm not even like making this up though. He gets jizzed on by a spider monster, bro. Throughout the movie, Godzilla still has to deal with the bully of his own, which is a monster called Gabara, who also happens to share the same name as the bully Ichiro has to deal with too. And in this scene, we finally get to witness him fight back and stand up for himself. At first, when he tries to fight back against Gabara, as you can tell, it doesn't really look like it's going too well for him. He even tries to learn atomic breath from his dad, but really all it's showing us right here is that he'd actually be an expert babe specialist, not gonna lie. But all it really took for him to get it down was Godzilla to step on his foot, and then he... Yeah, so now Godzilla's son is able to come correct against his bully and finally defeat him once and for all, completely whooping this nigga's ass to the point where he had to run away. His daddy also pitched in too, like that's crazy. Also Gohan and Goku shit, or like Bronny or LeBron James. And this gave my boy Ichiro to give the motivation for himself and do the same thing, because not only did he give the real life bullies in the real world a good beating, he also whooped the robbers' ass too. And this is where I said it's like a Godzilla Japanese version of Home Alone, because this dude Ichiro really uses like a bunch of tricks and traps just to stop these robbers, bruh. And now that the robbers have been arrested and Ichiro's bullies were finally defeated, our boy went home with a big smile on his face, knowing he saved the day and everyone lived happily ever after. So I guess that the final moral of the story here is that you shouldn't bully people or you get blasted with atomic breath. Now I want to give a quick honorable mention to some other Godzilla movies that I thought also had some goofy moments, but I also couldn't fit them all in this video. To start off, we have Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, which is where Godzilla fights a robotic version of himself, which was conceived using a special metal called space titanium, which resides in the deep depths of outer space. And to add icing to that cake, the creators behind Mechagodzilla are an extraterrestrial race of space monkeys who want to destroy the entire world. Yes, this is a real movie plot. I did not find this on Wattpad. And as you really try to understand the plot behind this movie, with every minute that goes by throughout the film, you really start to wonder whether you're watching a Godzilla movie or another installment of Planet of the Apes. So in order to defeat Mechagodzilla, the humans decide to summon an ancient giant lion monster hybrid by the name of Lord Caesar. Like, the comparisons can't get any more comedic. Now, this movie was basically the main reason why I wanted to create this video in the first place. This particular movie was really the inspiration for this entire video in the first place. Now, this movie in itself is pretty freaking stupid already. The villains in this movie are an underground civilization, but it's low-key basically a cult that goes by the name of Zootopia. Seatopia. And the plot behind this is that the horrific incident that the Americans committed against the Japanese in the late summer of 1945 caused hella earthquake disturbing the poor village of Seatopia. So to get revenge, they released the giant monsters to mentally destroy the world. It's up to Godzilla to save the day once again. I mean, you know the deal already with these Godzilla movies. The plot is basically the same for every movie. But this time, Godzilla has an ally by his side to save the world with, aka known as the one and only Ultraman. Wait, hold up. That's not Ultraman, bruh. Honestly, who the hell is that? So Google was telling me that this imposter goes by the name of Jet Jaguar. Like, I mean, who invited this buster? I don't know, man. This just looks like a copy of Ultraman to me. And obviously, I wouldn't even be here talking about this movie without the single and most greatest Godzilla move of all time, the epic Godzilla dropkick. Put him in the WWE already, man. This movie is also pretty wacky too. The plot is centered around Godzilla, who seems to be fighting one of his toughest opponents yet. Hedorah, a giant squid monster, or basically just Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. And I don't really intend to spend too much time talking about this movie except to show y'all probably the greatest piece of footage that has ever emerged out of cinema. And I mean, just look at this. This is the peak of all Godzilla movies. It will never get more goofier than this.